This is Dave Meltzer with Entrepreneurs, the Playbook. I'm at the Blue Wire Studios here at the greatest studio, here at the greatest hotel in the Wynn lobby. Come and join us anytime for the Playbook. And tonight I have an amazing guest, the man from down south. His name says it all, Brandon Buteaux, and that's with a T-E-A-U-X. So you know we're going to have a good time here. He is with the Baker Group. Welcome, Brandon.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
And you got your co-host on the side there with a matching outfit of me. He looks a little bit better than I do. We got the CEO and founder of RocketPlan, the incredible Joe Tolzmann. Thanks for joining us on the Playbook.
Thanks for having us, David.
Well, this is called the Playbook for a reason, Brandon. And the reason I call it the Playbook is I've been around people in all industries that have a playbook to success. I call it a spirit of excellence. And I am what's called a clairsentient. I feel people, so I can feel their frequency. And I have to tell you, when I first met you, we were about the same height. I was standing on a stage, and I looked into your eyes, and I said, this guy has the exact same frequency that I have. Whatever he says is going to resonate with me. And as I learn more about people that have that frequency, I learn about a desire of being what you must be. And no, I haven't talked about this with you. I have talked about Joe because he resonates with me for this reason, which is how he has really climbed the ladder from the Dairy Queen to where he is today. Would you describe yourself with that spirit of excellence? Would you describe yourself as someone who must be what they can be?
Absolutely. Former athlete, we were just talking about it a second ago. I ran track in college.
What event?
And decathlon. I was All-American decathlon.
Nice. I was a pole vaulter.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
That's a mini part of what you did.
That is awesome. So in the decathlon and in life in general, you never have 10 perfect events. Statistically speaking, you're not going to have 10 PRs. So some of my best track meets came after I had poor first days, and first day was usually my best day. Translate that into life, right? I mean, I didn't have a college fund or anything like that, so I worked track and at Costco
Nice.
through college. And then started the concrete company. After I had the concrete company, I was unpaid on over $1 million. So my wife and I went from eating ramen noodles to steak and lobster. It was a $12 million a year company at the time in my mid-20s. Back to ramen noodles after unpaid on over $1 million. So at that time, I had such a bad taste in my mouth from the trades, I started Baker Group about 14 years ago. And the intention was originally just to get back at the people that hadn't paid me for other people. Half my family's blue collar, half my family's legal. My mom manages 4 offices of a pretty large law firm nationwide. So I understood those mechanisms and the asset securitization, the mechanics liens, and all the stuff like that. So I implemented that, helping trades, and restoration has a big need for that. A large swath of our client base is restoration, and we help clients get paid on those uncollectible accounts.
It's amazing you bring up the payment side of things because my background is in sales. And I just thought when you said and talked about the decathlon, I thought about one of my heroes when I was young who was considered to be the greatest athlete of all time because he had set all the world record in decathlon, which today I'm sure the younger kids who watch the show are going to be amazed by this, but his name was Bruce Jenner, or whatever her name or whatever pronunciation that's politically correct that won't cancel me on the Playbook. But Bruce Jenner, in my opinion, was the greatest athlete of all time. Gold medalist, obviously, in the Olympics, world record holder in the decathlon. And I was thinking about, he does still carry the spirit of excellence and, changing the world. But Joe, my specialty is sales. I wish it was the pole vault. I wish I was as fast and as tall and a great athlete. It was almost a miracle that I cleared 4.6 meters, which is about 15 feet 9 inches for a guy that's 4 feet 2 inches. Pretty incredible. But sales is what I'm really good at. If I was naturally as good at sports as I am at sales, I wouldn't be sitting here. You'd probably still be watching me somewhere like Tom Brady, but older. But I have learned one lesson about business, that 80% of business is not business, no matter what you say you do. 80% of it is collecting. And one of the reasons that I've aligned with, invested in, promote RocketPlan, nobody else is going to get me into a purple V-neck T-shirt than Joe Tolzmann with RocketPlan. Let me just tell you that. But the reason is that I love business people like you, Brandon, and you, Joe, that help people get paid for the value they provided. And so many, I went bankrupt, and part of it was I wasn't able to collect for the value that I provided. One of the primary profit center assets facilitated by RocketPlan is it's the easiest and fastest way to get paid. What have motivated you on that?
Absolutely, David. I used to run property restoration company, so I experienced firsthand the challenges of not having the documentation in one place and just not getting paid. And there's all saying in the industry, it's not that you're going to get paid for what you did, it's what you can prove you did. And it's all in documentation. And the sad part is that quite often contractor has this documentation, but it's all over the place in people's emails in different folders mixed up with different projects. So the information is there, but it's just not practical and efficient to get it all into one place. And then it creates a lot of confusion, disagreements with different stakeholders, insurance adjusters, property managers, property owners, tenants. There's so many different stakeholders. And unless that information is in one place and fully transparent, it could cause a lot of doubts. Doubts lead to confrontation, disputes, takes to legal, and it gets costly for everybody.
And Brandon, when we talk about those doubts, it's really interesting because as a competitive athlete, that accountability is a huge component in athletics and in business. And that one of the things that happens when we don't have the proper documentation, when we don't have the proper processes, the proper technology, is that people go from being accountable to blame, shame, and justification. And if you look at any time of debt recovery or looking at people that aren't paying us for the value that we provided, they're usually living in that below the line area of blame, shame, and justification. They either personally are doing it or professionally doing it, but it creates a lot of damage. How important is accountability in not only your personal life as an athlete and as a father and as a business person, but being able to hold other people accountable? And for you, that accountability must be a cornerstone of your personal and professional life.
Accountability with my kids, with business, in order to scale the company, Baker Group, putting those protocols in place and being able to, because I think everybody that starts a company and starts it from the ground up, it's you, and then the first time you have to hand the baton is pretty scary, right?
Yeah, very.
So then there's multiple stages of this growth that ends up happening, but each one of those stages brings on other pain points where the accountability issue is harder to keep your thumb on. And I think what RocketPlan does that's amazing is get it all, like you said, efficient and in one succinct place. One of the biggest things that we have, and we have over 7,000 clients in different industries, is exactly what you're fixing, is the paperwork, even for some of our mid-cap and sometimes our S&P 500s because they have field reps. Some of our clients, the paperwork, when we get it, is discombobulated. And don't get me wrong, that's part of our job. That's part of Baker Group's job, is to fix, sew the wounds up and get this thing packaged up correctly. But moving forward with a technological advancement like you are is the proper way to facilitate your company efficiently being able to keep your thumb on that accountability measure that you were talking about. So you can scale, you can know that the things that you're expecting to happen are actually happening, as opposed to whenever it was just you by yourself, you can't be pulled in all the directions, mentally and physically.
And Brandon, because you had personal experience with this yourself and it cost you so much, it must feel really good knowing what you do every day, because you actually can identify with the emotional pain that you suffered, and you probably see it in the eyes of your customers, not only when they suffer it, but when you heal it without them having the outcome that you had.
It's absolutely so. We all do business to make money, but it does feel good. I do know what it felt like going to sleep on a Thursday night trying to find $70,000 on a Friday morning because I had weekly payroll for contractors. I do know what it feels like driving my vehicle 200 miles to go pick up a $35,000 check when I have a $100,000 payroll inside of 12 hours to get everything patched up. And to go from that to helping out companies to being voted last year the #1 commercial collection agency in the United States, it's a good feeling to help people out. And I think if you help enough people out, and you put enough out there, it does come back. And I know that sounds so cliche, but it's absolutely true. And I've seen a lot of people in business that are just doing business and not necessarily experiencing helping people, but just want a bunch of money. And they do. They get it for a few years, but they don't have the staying power. So helping the people actually is what it is about, honestly.
Yeah, it's interesting because in athletics, we have this zero-sum game with winners and losers. As lawyers, we have a transactional aspect of giving and receiving, negotiating and trading. But when you cross over, as you have with the mindset of a value-add world, where your intention is to add value, it's amazing how that value is added back to you as one. Speaking of which, I think that's the intention that you've always had, Joe, and one of the reasons that we are on the same frequency, all three of us. This will be our Playbook neighborhood because our frequency is our neighborhood, and we all are aware of what we do and the value that we provide, and it's value-based leadership, a compassionate capitalist, that we're not afraid, all three of us, to make a lot of money, but it's for the purpose and intention of helping people and also having fun. You know, this guy's from Louisiana. If he doesn't have fun, nobody will.
I'll be banished from the family.
A lot more fun than Eastern Europe, like Croatia, right? We at least know how to have fun. This guy, you got to force to smile. But just to finish up, you know, with RocketPlan on the collection side, it must make you feel really good because you've also suffered over the years and you've been to your last check for payroll, and knowing that there's thousands of people out there that now use RocketPlan, not only to create and document, but also just to get the 80% of the most important part of doing business, which is collecting. Mm-hmm. Has that been a motivator for you to continue on and to build this?
Absolutely, because I was in that situation, what you described, it's like late into the night, I got to get this thing done because tomorrow is the payroll. Like there's no other way. Information, it's all somewhere, you can do it, but it's so tedious to go about it. And that was the reason why I built RocketPlan, to help streamline that whole process, because it was just unnecessary. The amount of stress, inefficiencies that created, it was unacceptable. But yeah, I do appreciate people like you who actually step in and work to help people to do what's right. And that's to get paid fair and square for the work they did.
I would say entrepreneurs changing the world and saving the world, and we are the true healers, taking away the biggest pain. Entrepreneurs, whether it be the pain created emotionally, physically, financially, they all can be solved by doing good business in a fair way with great technology and great people. That's why I have both of these people here, both Brandon Buteaux and my friend Joe Tolzmann. Thank you for joining me. This is David Meltzer here at the Blue Wire Studios in one of the greatest hotels in the world, The Wynn, here in the lobby with some of the greatest entrepreneurs in the world, my friend Brandon and Joe. Thanks for joining me. This is David Meltzer with Entrepreneurs, the Playbook.